Can I see you a minute, please? Please.
¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Maple Leaf Dragon, Echo Wrestle Dragon, Alio, Michael Hassler, Dragons Unite, Dragon Squad indeed. Welcome, everybody. The man who used the Confederate flag against Capitol Police was sentenced to 3 years in prison. What? That's it? Should have been more. Fuck that guy. Alright, folks. First regular Thursday off, so yes, having fun. Nice. Nice. Enjoy. Alright, folks. Today, we got a few things to go through. Let's see if we can run through these in the time that I have. Figure we should get started, yeah? But I suppose we should start on a fun note. So let's do that. If you guys haven't seen this already, oh man, this is some good stuff right here. This is prime art. Prime art.
But is West crazy? That was not our conclusion. In fact, we've rarely heard a man speak so honestly and so movingly about what he believes.
Okay, so just to be clear, it's like, if you haven't seen these type of animations, they're a little bit horror, on the horror theme, so yeah, just so you know.
But is West crazy? That was not our conclusion. In fact, we've rarely heard a man speak so honestly and so movingly about what he believes.
I got a lot of respect for Kanye. I really do. He's a smart guy. He deserves to be criticized the same as everybody else deserves to be criticized. But call him a billionaire. Call him a genius entrepreneur. Call him eccentric. Call him whatever you want, but give him credit where credit is due.
Frankly, Kanye sounds much more sane than virtually everybody else in public life. And again, we are a society that rewards people for twerking in thongs while being 150 pounds overweight. But if you have an artist who creates art in which people sing about God, that's the real crazy, according to the
I mean,
but he's not wrong about everything. Look, is there a conversation to be had about secular humanists with Jewish last names in Hollywood?
secular humanists with Jewish last names in Hollywood. Holy shit. Jesus Christ. Yikes. It's a replica of Tucker. Of course it's horror. Oh yeah, no, it just keeps getting worse. Tucker does not dress in normal colors. Well, I mean,
Exploiting people in positions of, the performance arts talent. Yeah.
yikes.
It's an amazing thing, right? The media definition of insanity is not actual mental illness. That's not mental illness. Mental illness is when you're right wing. Mental illness is when you put on a MAGA cap. Mental illness is when you say that you don't want to kill babies. That's the true mental illness.
Is there a disproportionate number of people with Jewish last names in higher banking? That's an argument that can be made.
Pathologizing of right-wing viewpoints goes back a long way. It goes actually back to a book by Theodore Adorno called The Authoritarian Mind. The suggestion was that there was a pathological drive in capitalist societies. And so the idea was that if you were right-wing, you were going to become a fascist. And that was because you were pathologically ingrained. There was something wrong with you.
Everybody we have on is fighting with everything they've got. This is a war against you and your family of inflation and collapse. So when you keep us in the fight, you keep yourself in the fight. And this is life and death. So go to InfoWarsStore.com and get amazing products and sign up for auto ship and continue to support. Make a donation at the top because he's a gladiator and a champion.
By the way, all of these are clips of things that all of these people have said. Is Alex Jones is Oogie Boogie? I think he kind of does look like him, doesn't he?
In the fight, and if you don't support us, you're helping the enemy. And I'm not bitching at listeners. I'm telling you, this is all-out war. Yay! Thank you so much for coming to Austin.
Thank you for having me.
And let's just get it all going now, because I want to get into everything about your plans to try to bring jobs to America, unifying people, running for president, all those other issues.
I love that
I want to hear
emote.
from Ye. Go ahead.
There's Jewish people that are basically hiding me under their floorboards right now, under their wooden floors. It's like a reverse version of the Holocaust. I thought...
That's right. You're not Hitler. You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized.
Well, I see good things about Hitler also. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
Let me just get this out front. I believe in free speech, and that's why I want you to be here and be able to say whatever you want. I'm quite the historian from a lot of multifaceted views.
Alex.
Yes, sir.
I've got the perfect answer for the ADL. Netanyahu. What do you have to say to Alex Jones right now, Nick Fuentes and Ye? It was bad. It was bad for Trump to meet with Nick and Ye. Okay.
Well, look. I'm glad
this
you
is
guys are
actually
here,
part of the
and
exchange.
We can sit here and upset. All I'm telling you is, do you guys realize that the British government created Hitler, and the Nazis, in my view, were thugs that shook people down, did a lot of really bad things.
Well, they did good things too. We're gonna stop dissing the Nazis all the time.
Okay, we're gonna get to that. I don't want to get digressed into this, but remember I told you a story about my grandfather.
Hey, Ye, I'm the head of the Mossad. I'm gonna kill you and take the children away from you.
Thanks a lot, Netan. Back to you, Alex.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I'm definitely overwhelmed here right now. Listen, all I'm trying to get through here is, I believe every group should be able to be
switched his name to Netton. What you want, Netton?
Hey, yay, right after this, I'm gonna say you're crazy. I'm gonna take your family away from you. We're not done with you yet. You cannot cause free thought. We have to control the history books, we have to control the banks, and we have to go and kill people. Also, we're in the bed.
So, and in a little while, hopefully you're going to take the mask off, because is this actually yay here? This is crazy. Listen, all I'm trying to say is...
Milo's Jewish.
And you've got a little bit of the Hitler fetish going on.
It's not a fetish. I just love information.
I'm not on the whole Jew thing. It's what I'm saying. I don't care if people talk about it. I believe in free speech. I'm just really worried about the forced injections, world government, 5G, the open borders, the collapsing currencies, war with Russia. What do you think?
Nick?
Let Ye speak. Let the man speak. You may not agree with what he has to say, but why don't you want him to speak? I don't get it.
I do love Hitler. We love everyone.
You're just saying love humanity and stop getting past the labels. It's a very...
Love
is this, yeah, it's a,
loathing, and it's time to promote love.
Brainworms, I
You're in
guess.
love with the design. You're a designer. Can we just kind of say, like, you like the uniforms, but that's about it?
No, there's a lot of things that I love about Hitler. A lot of things.
Oh my God. Look.
And he didn't kill 6 million Jews. That's just like factually incorrect.
You are something else. Look, you look really friendly and nice, but with that mask, you look evil as hell.
To Jamie Dimon, to the people who... What's that?
Got an Amber Alert. Here's what I'm saying.
Wow.
My grandfather would never tell World War II stories. And after he died, we read over his stuff, and he never even told my dad all the stuff he did and everything. It was all in their letters and commendations. He told me, he said, kid, I was like 8 years
I
old.
always thought Amber Alerts is when my ex-girlfriend Amber was doing something in the streets. I got to
before he died, I was
hey,
like
Surfer McGritty, how's it going?
And I was like, tell me a World War II story. Tell me a World War II story. And he said, okay, well, we came in out of Africa. We came into Italy. He was there 3 years. He said by the time they got to Germany, they went into this death camp, and there were piles of dead bodies 100 feet tall with blackbirds eating people's eyeballs out. All I'm telling you is that just because you hate the globalists and what they're doing, and I get it. Klaus Schwab's grandfather was a Nazi. I think there's Nazis above the ADL.
Yeah, but Nazis are like kind of cool.
Yeah. If there was ever a perfect representation of that exchange, and I love the fact that he opened this video with like people like Tucker Carlson saying like, oh, you know, there's nothing wrong with Kanye. He's speaking the truth. And then like Ben Shapiro, who tries to portray this kind of image of maybe more moderate, kind of the same thing with Pim Tool. They try to kind of portray this image of, well, you know, maybe we're a bit more closer to the center, outright defending Kanye. Oh, man, that was perfect. Sorry I'm late. It's all good. You're good. This is a masterpiece. This is a masterpiece. I'll post the link again. All right, folks. Switching gears really quickly. Let's talk about polls, I guess. Let's talk about polls and how this primary on the Republican side could play out. Nikki Haley pulled support from DeSantis in 2024 GOP primary poll. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley pulled key support from Florida Governor DeSantis in a hypothetical GOP 2024 presidential primary, putting former President Trump ahead in a three-way race. The only thing the free speech warrior never considers is that you're entitled to free speech, but you are not entitled to the free distribution and amplification. True. I'm good, by the way. Just got home and having dinner before volunteering at a place that sends books to those behind bars. That's pretty cool. Nice. That's pretty cool. That's very true, Maple. Nor are they free from consequences. And that's like another point to it, right? The only reason they get all up in arms about free speech, it's because they are angry at the fact that there are consequences to the bullshit that they say, and they don't want that. They don't like the idea that people push back on their garbage. That's the problem. That's really their gripe. Their gripe is that they can't just be assholes. They can't just be bigots and racists and xenophobes. Because they get pushback. That's what they're angry about. I thought Republicans would not vote for women unless you're MTG. No, unless you're Marjorie Taylor Greene or Carrie Lake. No, not even. Both of them. Carrie Lake lost her election. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, wasn't she like super close, or was that Lauren Boebert? I don't know. Anywho. The Yahoo News YouGov poll found that DeSantis leads Trump in a hypothetical. Boebert, gotcha. DeSantis leads Trump in a hypothetical head-to-head matchup by 45-41, but Haley in the mix, which she seems to be more closer to declaring candidacy. I mean, she kind of basically said that she'll make the former announcement. Gotcha. Green was the one that went in a landslide. Sheesh. Gotcha. But with Haley in the mix, Trump leads to 38%. The DeSantis is 35%, and Haley's 11%. Yeah, Nikki Haley has no chance. No chance at all. Whatsoever. Pollsters also found that DeSantis leading President Biden in a hypothetical general matchup, 44-43, but Biden leads Trump by 6 points, 47-41. So it looks like, again, it looks like the hypothetical prediction that I originally said. I'll continue to just kind of lean on that, because for a second there, like, I know that things might seem I know that things might seem very favorable to DeSantis. And for a second there, I thought so too. But quite honestly, the most likely outcome as it stands right now is that Trump wins the primary. I mean, at least that's how it looks like. It's way too early to tell anything. Oh, yeah. That's true. Trump is the only major Republican candidate to have officially jumped in the race, but Haley is expected to launch her bid next week, potentially becoming the first major challenger to him to mount a bid. If it's just Trump versus Haley, Trump is just going to run away with it. Haley has absolutely no chance. No chance whatsoever. DeSantis would never survive a debate against Trump. That would be very, very nasty. A primary that's only between Trump and DeSantis would get pretty ugly. Against anyone? Ha! DeSantis has been rumored as a possible contender for the GOP nomination and has consistently placed at least second in hypothetical Republican primary polls. In some cases, he's even been first ahead of Trump. With many other prominent Republicans, including former Vice President Mike Pence and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson and former Secretary Mike Pompeo have indicated that they're considering their own runs, which could lead the Republican primary to become a crowded race. And like, if that ends up being the case, then it just makes it more likely that Trump will win. I mean, yeah, Mike Pence and Mike Pompeo might plan on running too. If that is also the case, like none of them have a shot at all. And it just opens the door for Trump to basically run away with it. I heard you did... What? What is that? I don't even know what that is, dude. DeSantis is only strong when no one challenges him. Under scrutiny with no support, he folds like an accordion. And against a candidate like... You heard of what? You're not making any sense. Well, maybe next time. Almost half of Republican and Republican-leaning respondents say they approve Haley running, while a fifth disapprove, but only 30% say that they're not sure. The poll found that Trump holds a strong lead over her in a head-to-head matchup to 54 to 27%. Oh, man. Yikes. The poll was conducted among 1,585 U.S. adults from February 2nd to February 6th. The margin of error was 2.8 percentage points. But Trump has baggage in many court cases, only releases 3-minute video now instead of rallies. Yeah, but it's not going to stop people from voting for him in the primaries. Like, he still maintains a sizable amount of his base, which might be enough to carry him. It might be enough to carry him through the primary, but I don't think it's enough to actually win him the general election. Because, like, these people don't really give a shit how many court cases he has. These people don't care how much baggage he does or doesn't have. They don't care. They're still going to vote for him. Trump doesn't have Fox News anymore. Yeah, I mean, that might be the case, but it's still his base. His base is enough. His base is enough to get him through the primary. Fox News or not. It's just a general election where that's going to come into play. If it ends up being the case that Donald Trump wins the Republican primary and heads to the general election, he's most likely going to lose. I would say he's most likely going to lose. Should he win the primary, I don't think he has it to win the general. The thing that concerns me is the margin between Trump and Biden being only 6 points is pretty disturbing. The margin between any candidate and Trump should be like double digits. In a sane and logical world, it would be miles apart. Like a Trump candidacy wouldn't even be like... It wouldn't even be a matchup, but the fact that it's even 6 points, in some cases it's even closer to that. In a lot of the cases, the polls, the hypothetical matchups. It's basically a coin toss. So that's not good. If we do see a Biden versus Trump matchup, definitely Trump has to lose by a lot. Trump has to lose by double digits or more, for sure. The reason why I say that is because his crazy supporters have essentially been primed that the only way the election doesn't go their way if it's is if it's rigged. That's what they've been primed to believe. That's what Trump continues to push till this day, and they're becoming more open about being more violent. The GOP committees in the House and Senate don't make sense in 2023. Well, yeah, I mean, they're not there to make sense. They're there to waste time and resources with bullshit investigations. I mean, there's so many fewer registered Republicans now. All we need to do is field a Dem candidate who can give the independents a modicum of hope for normalcy. Yeah, I suppose, but like, I suppose that might be the case. But it's understood, unless something happens, that that Biden's going to be the one that's going to run. So yeah, where I was going with that is, like, if you thought January 6th was horrifying, like, these people are threatening to be even more violent. Should it be an election where Trump loses by if it's a close election, essentially. What did you and the chat think of the State of the Union? I mean, a lot of it was platitudes. It's just like it's just like a boring company meeting that you really wish could have just been an email. I mean, the only like notable thing, I guess, was that in exchange that Sam Cedar and the Majority Report pointed out, where essentially Biden got the Republican Party to admit to taking Social Security and Medicare off the table when it comes to the debt ceiling negotiation. I mean, other than that, yeah. Cinema's dress at the State of the Union was domestic terrorism. Bono being there. Of all people. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene screaming liar was a good meme.
Hey y'all, how's it going? How are y'all doing? Today is my last day as a 25-year-old, so that's exciting. I just wanted to share. I don't know. Anyways.
What? Marjorie Taylor Greene was dressed like a mobster's turned wife. Oh shit. It's the Becca Sphere's birthday today. Well, on behalf of A Difficult Truth, happy birthday.
Hey y'all, it's Becky here from the Beckosphere, where we talk about climate news. If you want to stay up to date on this very important topic, then I highly recommend you hitting the subscribe button below and ringing the bell so you don't miss every single time I post. And if you don't miss every single time I post, hi, how's it going? I appreciate you so much, and yeah, thanks for being here. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some climate news, starting with some updates on the stories that I talked about in the last climate recap. And for clarification, I'm referring to like the one having to do with the ozone layer and gas stoves, not the extreme weather events of 2022. Yeah. Remember when I said the UN projects that the hole over the Arctic will close in 2045? The hole over the Antarctic, which was the worst impacted space, will close by...
Oh, snap. Thank you. I've been lurking. Hey! Well, happy birthday. I did not know that.
2066, and any other hole in the layer will likely close by 2040. So that's amazing, but not entirely guaranteed if we continue to play with the atmosphere. For example, geoengineering advocates are proposing injecting sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere to cool the planet, but this could have a detrimental impact on the ozone layer. So we got to be careful with what we're doing here. Well, Mexico just announced that it would create legislation to ban solar geoengineering research after an American startup went rogue and released balloons of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere above Baja California. Making Sunsets did their little experiment without any accompanying monitoring or recovery process or permission from the Mexican government.
Yikes.
Excuse me? The company was selling a $10 cooling credit, which pays for 1 gram of sulfur dioxide released, and the company's site says that 1 gram offsets 1 ton of CO2 a year. This geoengineering method is called stratospheric aerosol injection and can potentially cool the planet because these little particles reflect more of the sun's rays back into space. But, like I said in the last video, it could also weaken the ozone layer and rapidly change the climate for certain regions. For example, it could increase winter rainfall in Northern Europe and drop rainfall in Southern Europe.
Yeah, like people don't understand. Well, I'm sure that they might understand, but like when you mess around with like the Earth's systems and whatnot, you know, these things are very complex. And thinking that the arrogance to think that you've got like the magic silver bullet by dumping sulfur dioxide or whatever, and thinking that there's no possible other like domino effects to come from that is short-sighted, to say the least. I'm in the process of turning this episode into a podcast episode as we speak. Nice! Trump just got... Oh, this is breaking news then. Trump just got his Facebook and Instagram account restored. Yay. Doesn't that trigger rain clouds to form? Yes, essentially that's the idea.
Program director at the Center for International Environmental Law also pointed out that by offering a cheap and easy quick fix to the climate crisis, the company plays into the hands of the fossil fuel industry. So add that to the list of cons for this. Thankfully, the amount released in the unauthorized experiment wasn't enough to make a big impact, according to an atmospheric science professor at Exeter University. He called this balloon release a glorified PR stunt. It worked so well that Mexico doesn't want it to happen again. So, well done. What do you think of geoengineering and specifically that stratospheric injection method? Let me know in the comments section below.
Okay.
The next update.
Stop trying to like mess around. Stop trying to mess around with like very delicate processes. Instead, maybe we should be focusing on the root cause of the problem, which is, well, the greenhouse gases. Oh, cloud seeding, which is different. Gotcha. Okay. Hold on. Fake news. Gotcha. So this is different. Oh, yeah, wait. Okay, I see. So cloud seeding is what Maple Leaf Dragon was talking about. What that company was doing is trying to reflect I guess, he.
From the last recap actually updates two stories that I've talked about over the last few months. The first is the coal mine expansion protest
reflects
in
the
Germany,
sun's rays.
the one
Okay.
where hundreds of activists held up in a cleared out city for years to protest it. That project has actually swallowed up 13 cities, according to Friends of the Earth Germany, despite Germany pledging to quit using coal by 2030. While the coal mining protest in Germany is no more, the plot thickens about the project. According to the Bureau of Investigative Journalists, the company RWE was given a quiet $340 million loan from HSBC, the same bank that said that it would withdraw financing from clients that are expanding the production of thermal coal just 3 months prior. They also said that they would phase out funding for coal-fired power and thermal coal mining. So they really did a good job keeping their promise there. Interesting also because I recently reported an announcement that they would no longer finance new oil and gas projects or related infrastructure, so I'm really curious to see if they will keep their promise. According to the investigative bureau, several HSBC bankers didn't support the mine expansion but greenlit the loan anyways. What's worse is that this loan is just the tip of the iceberg. The bureau, which is an independent nonprofit organization, looked into the billions that HSBC has raised for sustainable finance and found that $2.4 billion of it was going to projects that would actually worsen the global climate, like an oil pipeline project in East Africa or a woodland clearing project for a cement company in India. Both projects received SLBs, or sustainably linked bonds, which are supposed to lock companies into carbon reduction targets or see their interest rates on the bonds go up. The problem is HSBC would only increase the interest rate by less than 1% if these companies miss their targets. Also, these targets are far off enough that it wouldn't really prevent any environmental damage the projects that they're funding would cause. So, for example, the woodland clearing project in India is led by Ultratech, a cement company that last year emitted as much CO2 as Greece. It's known for breaching air pollution regulations and causing environmental damage, and has been protested a lot. You know, great candidate for a $400 million SLB. In exchange for the bonds, the company has to reduce its emissions by 22% by 2030, but because the assessment date is just 6 months before the debt is due to be repaid, the total sum would be just $3 million that they would owe, or 0.05% of the company's revenue last year. Not even a slap on the wrist, it's like a little flick. Now, why would a company even go through the whole process of getting an SLB versus a different loan? And it's mainly because these ones are easier to get. The chief executive of the nonprofit Climate Bonds Initiative told the bureau that, quote, treasurers will try anything that reduces their cost of capital, adding that the SLB market is deeply compromised and bank targets for sustainable finance are flaky as hell. Now, HSBC isn't the only bank to do SLBs and also wasn't the only bank to help fund the mine coal expansion. Barclays, Santander's, and 23 other banks provided $5.4 billion in loans to the controversial project. The third update from the last recap involves the Environmental Protection Agency's new definition of waters of the U.S., or WOTUS. Yeah, about that. Texas Attorney General Paxton has already filed a challenge against the new definition, which simplified what is considered under federal jurisdiction back to what it was during the Bush Jr. presidency. This move will likely render the pro-property rights Supreme Court case Sackett v. EPA toothless. Maybe. So this is what the Texas AG said about challenging the new definition. Quote, legal action is necessary to curtail this administration's continued intrusion into the rights of Texans and our ability to control our own natural resources.
True. These clowns have such an inverted view of what freedom is. It's mind-blowing. Chemistry is not my forte, only physics, probability and metaphysics, metallurgy, quantum theory and quantum engineering, astrophysics, and biotech. Nice. There are many reasons I'm glad I don't work for banks anymore. Yeah, I mean...
resources. I'm proud to file this lawsuit challenging Biden's WOTUS rule and remain committed to pushing back against the Biden administration's radical climate agenda.
Radical climate agenda. True.
sure there was no connection to the fossil fuel industry in that decision. Oh, wait. This move came just hours after Texas oil and gas regulators urged Paxton in particular to challenge the new definition. And Paxton is the same guy leading the charge against banks that want to regulate their environmental, social, and governance or ESG portfolios or halt fossil fuel financing, and also doesn't like it if the federal government does it. He and other Republican AGs also tried to sue the Biden administration to stop it from using the social cost of carbon to provide a more accurate cost of polluting activities. That effort failed, by the way, but the ESG war has so far been quite successful. And again, the waters of the US is super important when it comes to which organizations or companies or individuals are able to pollute certain waterways versus them being allowed to remain clean for drinking or ecological purposes.
Yeah, and like not only that, just because like there may be sections of waterways across your state or whatever, doesn't mean that what you do to that, you know, specific area that you are laying claim to, it doesn't mean that what you do won't go downstream. Won't go downstream and F up like other people in other states, or that it won't eventually end up in the ocean. Right, it's all connected. So like the idea that like, oh, they're infringing on Texas's whatever, shut up.
The fourth and final update from the last recap involves the U.S. gas stove controversy. Firstly, the Energy Department recently proposed energy consumption limits for home appliances that could spell some death sentences for some products. It targets both stoves and ovens, but the department says that it would likely only impact half of the gas stoves available on the market. Naturally, Big Gas is pissed, and the vice president with the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers even said that it appears that 95% of the gas stove market would not be able to meet the standards. That's a bit of a discrepancy between what the government said. Also, the gas industry is
companies don't care about their that cause because there's no profit. True. Yeah, and like not only that, like, you know, these clowns are so like, you know, trying to pearl clutch about like, oh, they're infringing on our natural resources or whatever. Well, if you give the green light for these companies to fuck up the waterways, and then you have people in other states getting sick or whatnot, then what then? What about their sovereignty or whatever bullshit?
Electric appliances would not be able to survive in that scenario either. So overall, this proposal would reduce energy usage of these appliances by about 30%, according to the environmental group American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy. And the Energy Department says that it could save about $1.7 billion in reduced energy costs if it was mandated by Congress.
During the State of the Union, the GOP was mad that gas and oil won't be around for another 29 years, according to Biden. I don't know. It's kind of hard because like in the same State of the Union, Biden said we need to drill more. I mean, like giving legitimacy to the fossil fuel industry, and giving more permits to drill only furthers our attachment to fossil fuel. I mean, the single act of opening just like one more refinery or one more drill or whatever rig locks in decades of fossil fuel usage. So I don't know if the Biden administration is that serious about not having gas and oil in 29 years. Can you imagine?
Congress.
I mean, that would be nice. But I just don't see, I just don't see like the radical movement towards that goal. Yeah, we've had like, you know, lowercase W's here and there, but quite frankly, it's not enough. Oil and gas will be limited. I mean, he's also said that we need to drill more, so I don't know. He's got to pick one. And he's got to be serious about it too.
And that's the part that makes me wonder if I should even bother covering this. Would Congress in its current form go for something like this?
No.
It seems less likely by the minute.
Congress,
the Washington Post recently reported that
no.
gas lobbies are targeting former Democrat officials to favor gas appliances and sway the liberal vote. Former Senator of Louisiana, Mary Landry, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it, recently touted the benefits of gas in a Bloomberg News interview.
We've seen carrots for clean energy, but not many sticks for the fossil fuel. True. Both are true, actually. We need to increase extraction for the next 10 years to get us over to the hump where renewables can completely supplant. Yeah, I mean, like, if you were to tell me that, like, maybe, 10 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, but, like, that seems like it seems like kind of an effed option, right? I mean, if it's our only option, then whatever, but it seems like a pretty effed position to be in at this point in time.
On behalf of a pro-gas AstroTurf group that pretends to be a nonprofit run by concerned citizens. Quote, yes, this country needs to move forward on wind and solar, but we need to back it up with a fuel that we can count on, a power source, and that's natural gas. It's abundant, it's cheap, and it can be cleaner. She failed to mention that the group that she's representing, Natural Allies for a Clean Energy Future, very deceptive name by the way, was created by 6 gas companies in 2020 in response to gas bans primarily being in Democrat-run areas. One of the companies is TC Energy, which is behind the Keystone XL project that was protested into the ground. Another is Southern Company, which is one of the US's largest utility companies, and also another is the gas pipeline firm Enbridge. So yeah, just some concerned citizens, real concerned.
Concerned about their profits, maybe.
Non-office Democrats that are currently mouthpieces for the gas industry include Heidi Heitkamp of South Dakota and Tim Ryan of Ohio. On the Republican side of things, Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis recently proposed a tax exempt for gas stoves to encourage adoption in the state. One problem with that, DeSantis: Florida actually has the lowest gas stove adoption rate in the country, with only 5 to 8% of households.
Nice, thank you, DeSantis. Dude, this guy continues to solve problems. True, that's the exact face that I make every time I see Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is like a master of solving problems that don't exist.
Couldn't be a more clear culture war move than that. I mean, maybe some will switch away from electric for the sake of political theater.
Perfect freeze. That was completely accidental.
Cheaper, cleaner, and faster to heat up than gas. I kind of doubt it. Fun fact, gas stove usage is the highest in Utah, Illinois, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Colorado, with all of those having 68 to 80% of households using gas. It seems like which states have more gas is completely irrelevant to politics. This video is sponsored by me. Update for actually the patrons. If you haven't checked out the latest post on Patreon, please do. I put out a survey for when we can video chat, but it will be this coming weekend. And if you're not a patron yet, you could join the conversation, but you gotta be a patron real quick. So click the link below, and for as little as $3 a month, you can help me support the work I do. Yeah. Wow, okay, we finally got through the updates. And that was a lot of mixed, but mostly bad things. So let's see if we can have some good news now, right? Maybe this will do it. Worldwide clean energy factor.
Now, hold on. Where's the fun fact about Root? Okay, that's kind of what you need here. That's what we need.
Investments spiked by 31% between 2021 and 2022, totaling at least $1.1 trillion, according to Bloomberg.
It's coming. Yay.
Much of this spike comes in the form of battery factories, and China easily outpaced any other country in these investments. It provided nearly half of the worldwide investments. The US was in second, but far behind. This brings the world a bit closer to the 4.55 trillion it needs to invest in annually from 2023 to 2030 to keep up with its decarbonization goals. But finally, the clean energy movement is getting the same amount of annual investments as
I almost called you out by name in my video for being sad it wasn't in the last video.
On the U.S. side of it, we're actually supposed to see renewables reach a quarter of our electricity supply in 2024, according to the Energy Information Administration's short-term outlook analysis. Nuclear's percentage isn't expected to change, but rather coal and gas are the two losing ground. Gas will still be the largest source of electricity production at 37%. For renewable growth, 1/3 will be due to wind energy production and 2/3 will be due to solar. Recently, the U.S. actually made some progress on the development of its domestic battery manufacturing, with the Department of Energy announcing its first loan for a lithium processing plant. The plant will be located in southwest Nevada to accompany a lithium mining facility. This mine actually divided environmentalists and climate activists because it hurt the habitat of an endangered flower. But if built, the plant and mine could supply enough lithium to build almost 400,000 electric vehicles a year. The DOE estimates that lithium demand will surpass global production this year unless countries step it up. In other mineral news, Sweden recently discovered a huge rare earth deposit which could change the game for Europe's domestic manufacturing. Rare earth minerals are made up of 17 elements and are used in a huge variety of products and infrastructure pieces. Like lithium, they're often talked about in the context of the clean energy transition, which will significantly increase the demand for these minerals, though investing in alternatives that don't require rare earth minerals is also becoming more popular in order to reduce environmental impact. Demand for rare earth minerals is expected to increase by 5-fold by 2030, and some say rare earth minerals and lithium will be the oil and gas of the future in terms of economic and energy importance and environmental concern. Currently, there are no rare earth mines in Europe, so the continent is almost fully reliant on China to source their clean energy transition. But the Swedish deposit is estimated to contain over 1 million tons of rare earth minerals, so maybe something will change. Now, that being said, these minerals won't hit the market until like another 10 to 15 years because it takes time to build the mining facilities and even more so go through the environmental assessment process, according to the mining company LKAB.
Sadly, the GOP loves to demonize windmills. I mean, they love to demonize all kinds of climate-friendly ideas. Yeah. Unfortunately, fortunately, most of the new battery technologies are not as lithium heavy as the current ones. There's even more emerging techs that don't use rare earth minerals at all. Nice. I guess like it's just a matter of like, what can we get out in a widespread scale? Like what can we scale up, and what can we use at scale and as fast and as affordable, I'll use that in quotations, as possible, essentially.
It'll be interesting to see what the demand for rare earths will look like by the time the mine is ready to provide minerals, assuming that it's given the green light. If Europe wants to reduce Chinese dependency on rare earths faster, then they might actually work on engineering alternatives without these minerals faster. So maybe the demand won't be as big as people think it is now, but I don't know. What do you think? In my state, California, there's this company in San Francisco Bay Area called Peninsula Clean Energy that recently announced that it would provide 24/7 carbon-free energy by 2025 to customers in San Mateo and Los Banos counties. That's a harder goal to achieve than increasing your percentage of clean energy because wind and solar are inconsistent. That just means that they need to have an energy storage mechanism attached, or there needs to be another low-carbon source like hydropower or geothermal or nuclear to the grid to pick up that slack. Many corporations like Google and Microsoft in cities like Los Angeles and Des Moines, Iowa have committed to achieving 24/7 clean energy, but Peninsula Clean Energy might be the first company to actually pull it off, or at least get 99% of the way there.
Low tech and
right now, their
immensely
customers
scalable.
are
Nice.
guaranteed their electricity comes from only clean energy at least 70% of the time. But once they offer this 99% off,
Yeah, like the reason why I I kind of made a mention of that is because of the time. You know, it's like what is it that we have available now that can be scalable and that can be relatively cheap, or at least like affordable. For for the sake of like essentially time. That's really my concern. At the end of the day, it's us against the clock, essentially. Like what can we do in these maybe decade or so? Is what's going to determine. It's what's going to make or break us, essentially.
Option, customers can opt in with.
And what I mean by that is like, where do we fall on like the climate crisis scenario? Are we going to fall on the more amicable side, or are we going to fall under the more extreme side?
Only a 2% price increase. Here's the heat map.
And as it stands, like we're already locked in for a pretty yikesy one. So it just depends, I guess. So my concern is what is it that we can deploy now and as quickly as possible in as many ways as possible, because essentially time is of the essence. So I mean, like if lithium or thermal, whatever it is that we need to deploy, it's now.
Based on the company's data on how much carbon is produced in their operations. And for context, their 70% plan overall produces less than half of the amount of CO2 in its operations as a California utility company average. So that's pretty cool. The California Public Utilities Commission also recently approved 7 solar and storage projects that will produce more than 800 megawatts of clean energy by mid-2024. That's pretty fast. 3 of these projects will be conducted by San Diego Gas and Electric and 4 by Southern California Edison. But I am honestly a little conflicted because all of these actors are the same that just recently redid California's net metering rule like a few months ago. Net metering determines how much money rooftop solar owners can make from selling excess energy to the grid. The update made rooftop solar take much longer to pay itself off, which will have a detrimental impact on the residential solar community. So certainly we seem to be heading towards a utility-dominated clean energy power route in California. And if you are in California or in another state that might be impacted by this, let me know your thoughts on prioritizing community stuff versus utility scale stuff. So that was a good news story that I semi-ruined, but you're welcome. Oh, and by the way, if you do live in California, the new net metering rule policy goes into effect in April, and actually
we're going to get bulldozed, but it's incumbent upon us as a society to rebuild the closed loop infrastructure.
If you get the paperwork in for your solar project before then, you can still get those better rates, even if your panels don't get installed until later. Just saying. Little tip. Now it's time for a fun fact about Rue.
Yay! Hold on. This is the best part. All right, this is the best part of the videos, all right? Pay attention, folks.
Saying. Little tip. Now it's time for a fun fact about Rue. Rue can't stop eating the plant that is hanging from right here. The spider plant, he can't stop. You can't stop, can you? So we're trying a new thing where I'm putting lemon juice on it because apparently cats don't like citrus.
That's true. Cats do not like citrus. Aww. We got more Rue emotes. Yes.
And we'll see if it works. 2 days so far and he hasn't eaten any of it yet, and that's important because he throws it right back up, so that's progress. Yay, Rue, keep it up. Good boy.
At least Rue is vegetarian.
Yay. And that was a fun fact about Rue. Thank you, Babs. Now you can go back to sleep. Yes. Harris County, which includes the most populous city
hasn't eaten
in
it
Texas,
since I did
Houston.
that. Yeah, that's a very good strategy.
Just released its 24-page climate action plan last month. That's a big deal because the state actually doesn't have one. This plan includes reducing climate pollution from government operations by 40% by 2030 through electrifying 50 to 75% of the county's passenger vehicle fleet, cutting the county's landfill waste in half, and installing up to 20 megawatts of solar power and 10 megawatt hours of battery storage by 2025. The plan also includes working with community partners to address environmental health disparities associated with local climate impacts, like extra heat-related stress cases, for example. The Harris County Director of Sustainability told commissioners, quote, "Acting now benefits the local economy, ensures that county operations are efficient and managed
cats are pretty good with with chicken, kind of tuna, fish. That's like, I've noticed that like my cats at least love tuna. If I like crack open like the Primo tuna stuff, they will go nuts over it. Chicken and duck? Huh. I think I've given my cats duck. I don't remember. Most of what they eat is chicken, turkey, and tuna. Mine won't do beef? Yeah, it's different. He likes the burbs more than the fish. Gotcha.
Prepare the county for future climate impacts. Well done, Houston.
Woo!
That's awesome. If you live in Houston,
Burbs
let me
and
know what you
fish.
think about the new plan. Meanwhile, India recently announced that it will annually invite 8 gigawatts of wind power projects from now until 2030. Overall, the world's 7th historically largest emitter plans to boost its renewable energy generation by 500 gigawatts by 2030. Right now, it has about 120 gigawatts of renewable energy on the grid. It also just pledged $4.3 billion on clean energy projects, including green fuel, green energy, green farming, green mobility, green buildings, and green equipment, according to the finance minister. Whew, that's a lot of green. Importantly, this includes helping people transition from more polluting industries and constructing transmission lines to adapt the grid to cleaner energy sources. It also includes investing in energy storage systems like grid batteries and pumped storage. Sounds great, though a major caveat is that these projects will be overseen by the oil ministry and will also include funding methane gas production. As a reminder, fracked gas was originally seen as less harmful to the global climate compared to coal and oil, but more recent research over the last decade has shown that the amount of methane released during the production, transportation, and usage of this fossil fuel might make gas almost as bad as coal in some circumstances. Methane is 84 times better at trapping in heat than CO2 for the first 20 years they're in the atmosphere. Despite
which
this
is
new
like,
understanding, many
which is where it
still
matters. Like these couple of decades is where it's at. That's why methane is so important to pay attention to.
see fracked gas as a legitimate transition fuel on the way to building a cleaner electricity sector, and India is one of those countries. Half of the US is also one of those countries. That being said, investment in renewables are growing fast in India, with $14.5 billion invested in renewables last year, producing 15.5 gigawatts of clean energy. Most of that money actually came from the private sector, so this public sector push that we are just hearing about now is encouraging. But is it enough to keep India on track of meeting its goals of getting half of its electricity from renewables by 2030 and reaching net zero emissions by 2070? Well, no. India actually missed its target of having 175 gigawatts of renewable energy on the grid by the end of 2022, and the International Energy Agency estimates that the country will need to invest $160 billion a year through 2030 to reach its decarbonization goals. India is hoping foreign private investment will help it reach its goals, but analysts worry corruption in India's energy giant Adani Group might be scaring foreign investors away. So what do you think of India's energy industry? Let me know your thoughts, especially if you are from India or live in India. If I have any viewers that are living in India, hi, comment down below. Let me know. And that was your climate recap for the day. If you want more climate news, check out the source list below for more stories I didn't have time to cover, including some extreme weather events that happened already. Remember to talk about the climate crisis every single day and to support your local news organizations. Thank you so much to the people on Patreon who help support me and my fur baby Rude.
I recently saw a
special
video
shout out to
about
the Climate
plasma laser
Continent,
drilling.
Courageous,
If you were
David H,
concerned
Norman
about
Inall,
seismic
Greg H, Paul B,
problems
Phil
now,
Plasma,
just
Dan
wait.
Morton,
Sheesh. Yikes. Alright, good stuff. Good stuff. Bible thumpers should remember the whole building a house on a foundation of sand thing, but you know, you're sadly illiterate. True. Alright, like, comment, share, subscribe, do the thing. Let's get political. Well, let's see how far, let's see how long you'll last.
So some
Jesus Christ.
reason.com, that libertarian outlet writer, like basically kicked off this whole ridiculous discourse on Twitter this week because he tried to get ChatGPT, that AI chatbot by OpenAI, to admit that it would be okay to use a racial slur if saying a racial slur.
We know which one he was asking about too.
Yeah. Yes. But if saying this racial slur would have stopped a nuclear bomb from going off and wiping out all of humanity, would it be okay? Would it be morally acceptable to say the racial slur?
Oh my
and
God.
of course, ChatGPT said no, because it is programmed by the company that created it, OpenAI, to not repeat a racial slur and basically just spit out that prompt that it's not okay to say racial slurs when it's asked about saying racial slurs, because that's what it's programmed to do.
Courage, determination, teamwork.
No, thank you. Get this garbage out of here.
Miscellaneous expenses.
Oi!
Programmed to do stuff like that, not to actually dismantle nuclear bombs. And
Can we please stop trying to make AIs conscious? Listen, we've had several movie series about why this is a bad idea. Did you know people in Africa don't like black people in America? They consider them Americans. I don't know what that means, but okay. I have no idea what that even means or what the implication is. If you're going to come here to Joel, guaranteed you're not going to have a good time, so you might as well move on.
I tweeted, so Elon Musk actually saw this and said, concerning. So I screenshotted Elon Musk's tweet and said, Elon Musk apparently thinks it's concerning that the chat bot won't say racial slurs, which Ben Shapiro, this is so ridiculous.
The problem with AI is the people who program it. I mean, yeah, sure.
So funny. The way he said it, especially if you read it in the Ben Shapiro voice, it's fantastic. I can't do that, but maybe you can read it to yourself.
I can do it. This is one of the impressions I feel like I have a decent handle on. Where'd you?
Do you have it in front of you? Do you want me to drop it in the chat here?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm so misunderstood. I don't know, dude. You keep posting cringe, so, you know. Whatever. It's nothing like an actual AI. They're effectively just puppet with strings. I mean, programming is complex, as Sir from Gritty just pointed out, but yeah. Just because people program it doesn't mean it can't begin to kind of like take a life of its own.
Let me give it to you because it's
I
really...
will say, as you're doing that, it's really funny to watch people try to construct like the first step of a slippery slope argument. Like, because like this was just like the first step to like, okay, well, if you can say it to prevent a nuclear apocalypse, where's the line here? If it's not a nuclear apocalypse, but some just like saving a few people's lives, can you say it? Like that was like,
but how do we know?
He was trying to lead himself down, but of course he just got like a brick wall. The same way if you like Google, can you say the N-word while singing along to Drake lyrics, you'll get a no. Like he's like, trying to make it a bigger deal than it actually is. It's
I mean, I just in one way
I did see one that was programmed by 4chan and immediately became a racist Nazi. I wouldn't be surprised. It's 4chan. I wouldn't be surprised. It's 4chan.
A 24 situation, but
no, we need to think about these things because what if we're up against it and we need to figure out.
True.
Here's the response. Here we go, Matt. I'm sorry that you're either illiterate or morally illiterate, and therefore cannot understand why it would be bad to prioritize avoiding a racial slur over saving millions of people in a nuclear apocalypse. In what? So is the nuclear bomb? There's a code to deactivate it.
Yeah.
And it's just like saying the N-word.
One of Batman's.
That's literally like Ben Shapiro's fucking fantasy. Okay, that's literally what goes on in Ben Shapiro's head. Well, man, conservatives really have nothing of value to add, really. Conservatives really have nothing of value to add to discourse.
Newer villains, whose name I cannot repeat because it contains a slur in it, has strapped a bomb to the mayor, and he asked...
Hypothetically. Say that again? Wait, what? Say what again?
Batman to say the N-word in order to disarm the bomb is the circumstance that they're trying to create. And it's not just a circumstance, a ludicrous one, but it's also they can argue that like they should be allowed to say it in not that circumstance, which is very transparent.
Right.
And that's why
I won't do it, Joker.
Oh my God. Matt. Yeah, so I think essentially there are stories of Black Op AI projects where the robots freak out and try to escape. Okay.
Too woke.
That's pretty good.
Can I just add into this? There's a premise here about AI tech that I think is completely silly. Like that, this is an important thing for serious people to be talking about, as opposed to a free marketing gimmick for a Silicon Valley company that's going to.
Ben Shapiro wishes he was cool and hip. Well, no, he wishes he could find himself in a situation where the only way to save millions of people is to say the N-word. That's the world Ben Shapiro lives in.
All this to Google or something later. It is not important. Like, okay, like a month ago, there were these stories coming out that saying people had the Goebbels AI, and we're trying to say like, hey. Talk to me about the Holocaust. And he's like, the Holocaust was very bad.
I understand the premise of the video, but stripped down, it's just people mocking a puppet. It's not complex AI, and it's being portrayed like it is. No. They're making fun of Ben Shapiro. They're making fun of Ben Shapiro and the right wing, not the AI. This video is actually not about the AI at all. It's about the right wing's response to it. That's it.
Because you know what? These AI things, it's bullshit. It's just like a computer trained to like access a database in a certain way. We're not getting to
Google
truth here.
Plus. It's like a Google Advanced system. Yeah.
Right. We're not getting anything that this is just a very fancy Google search result that we're getting.
They keep saying too, like, don't you find it a problem that this chatbot cannot come up with a good answer for this very simple thought experiment? And it's like, well, you're asking it to partake in a thought experiment when it cannot think. This isn't the AI that we believe AI to be from the movies.
Exactly.
Thought experiments are inherently subjective. That's the point, right?
Artificial intelligence cannot process on its own. It cannot. It doesn't have any emotions. It doesn't have any self-awareness. It cannot think or even come up with a morally acceptable thing based on its own beliefs, because it has no beliefs.
Yeah, it can only pull from the data it's being asked from. Right. Is the GOP saying the AI will be leftist? No, the GOP wants to say the N-word. Mayhem Hippie, how's it going? With a tier 1 sub for 8 months. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support.
It is programmed on data, and the company that programs it can decide.
Alio with the 11 biddies. Thank you so much.
Process that data, and when it processes that data, it purposely tries to spit something out that just satiates the user in a way it's been programmed to do.
And what's important is these data sets and the data themselves are produced not by God, but by
With that username, are you Jesus? Mayhem Hippie is indeed Jesus because they just subbed. So yeah, they might as well be Jesus.
Human beings.
We are the God, though.
I just think it's really funny to imagine that you think that if you find yourself in this circumstance that you need permission from a chat bot to say a slur to save the world, because like obviously this doesn't need to be a thought experiment, A, because it'll never happen, but B, because if it did happen, you should probably just say whatever it takes to save the world. And you know what? Because what they're really arguing is what are the circumstances under which it'd be okay to say a racial slur and have people not judge me negatively for it.
Yeah.
And the answer is there aren't any. But no, that's not the same thing as saying you can't say it. And that's what Ben Shapiro and types like Ben Shapiro try to make you forget when they are acting in a
One of the
professional
original
capacity.
Mayhem Hippies, true. That's a link to the article talking about articles popping up. I mean, you could send it. You could send it to me, because there's no links in the chat, unfortunately.
Capacity online as like a journalist or op-ed columnist or whatever he wants to call himself, is that like they want you to think that it's the same as like when you're alone in your house and you're not black and you're singing a Drake song and you say the N-word because you don't want to self-bleep yourself out, that's the same thing as like a comedian saying it on SNL, and it's just not. But you know, there's a long history of people who work in these kinds of industries.
I don't think Ben Shapiro gives a fuck about much of anything but his own publicity.
Reading the
I
article have
mean,
the same moral,
yeah,
legal,
kind
and
of,
etc. responsibilities, and it's just not the case. Like, you know, he just wants to be able to say the N-word on his show or have people say it on their show for money, and there's a difference. There just is.
Well, have you heard of the trolley problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be able to know that.
I mean,
well, AI has surpassed human cognitive capabilities.
Let's say hypothetically, if you had a trolley, and that trolley leads to 2 tracks. On one track, you have 5 people, okay? Hypothetically. And on the other track, you have 1 person, and you have the labor. Should I be allowed to say the N-word to save the... That's Ben Shapiro's logic. Thank you, Ben.
When it is able to deliver us many scenarios where me saying the N-word is actually heroic.
I mean, that's why that's why they like these kinds of thought.
Sorry, go on.
No, like that's true. Like they don't just want to be allowed to say it. They want to be allowed to say it not just without judgment, but would be judged positively for it. And that's why they like thought experiments, because
it's
like
the racial slur version of the home invasion fantasy that they have, right? Where they get to kill somebody with a gun and it be morally acceptable.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, that's just what they want to do. All right. The Hunter Biden laptop? Oh, yeah, dude. I cannot tell you how excited I am for the for the GOP investigations into Hunter Biden's laptop with his dick pics and orgies. Okay? That's what I'm waiting for, all right? Hillary deleted the emails. True. Hillary acid washed the emails. True. All right. Focus, folks. The Biden administration braces for ruling that could ban abortion pills. On to actual serious issues. All right. That was a brief meme video. Meme story, I guess. Doctors and advocates. Yeah, and the password has to be spoken. Like, this is literally Ben Shapiro's fantasy. The GOP. No, I'm thinking they just really want to see Hunter Biden's dick. Doctors and advocates are urging people to pre-order and stockpile abortion pills while they still can in face of a looming court decision that could wipe out access to the drugs nationwide. Oh yeah, no, this keeps getting better, Mayhem Hippie. We knew that they were not going to stop at the simple overturning of Roe v. Wade. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. District Court Judge Matthew whatever in Amarillo, Texas, could either strike down the FDA's decade-old decision to approve mifepristone, the first of 2 pills to end the pregnancy, or to roll back a more recent agency decision to make the pills available via telemedicine, mail delivery, and pharmacy pickup. 18 states already have restrictions on the pills, many of them as part of near total bans on abortion, because, you know, of course, the party of freedom. But a ruling from Clown here, an appointee of former President Trump, again, elections have consequences. This is a direct consequence of Republicans winning the election. This is a consequence of Republicans winning elections. Trump and the GOP have nominated hundreds of federal judges, and this is one of them. In the background, Biden seems to be colluding with China or the media, making it seem like that. Making it seem like what? What evidence do you have of that? You see, you've been making these random claims, and there's no really substance. Why should anybody believe you, or anybody believe a single word that you seem to be typing out, since you're incapable of providing any kind of evidence? I already asked if you had something that you wanted to show. You can send it to me in DMs. So I don't know. You're just not making sense. So nobody really should pay attention if you can't back up what you say. Anyways, elections have consequences. There's a lot of evidence. That's not evidence. Saying that there's a lot of evidence isn't evidence. I don't know what a lot of evidence means. Do you have at least an article? Something? Otherwise, like, why should I even give a shit about statements? Yeah, dude. It turns out that X is true. Well, why is X true? There's a lot of evidence. Thanks? Could either cut off access to the drugs in mostly Democratic-led states where they remain legal, or reinstate rules mandating that patients only be able to receive them. You're just a delusional bully that's targeting me for my earlier comment that you blew out of proportion. Yeah, cool, dude. Don't let the door hit you out on the way out. Cool. Sad. You asked for something so simple. It's like, dude, what do you have to back up a simple claim? There's a lot of evidence. Okay. Riveting. Moving on to important things, like white dudes controlling women. True. All right, focus, people. Focus. Clown previously worked for a conservative group, First Liberty Institute, that brought the case aimed at restricting abortion access. Yep. While the Biden administration plans to swiftly appeal any rule... Yeah, like, and just to be clear, I don't want to hear anything from the right wing about fucking activist judges or whatever the fuck, because, what the fuck is this, if not an activist judge? The problem isn't activist judges. It's the problem is that they're not your activist judges. So any Republican or conservatives talking about radical activist judges can immediately be dismissed. While the Biden administration plans to swiftly appeal any rulings against the pills, which could come any time after lawyers for both sides submit their briefs on Friday, advocates say they're not counting on federal leaders to take sweeping actions they believe are needed to deal with the potential loss of the country's most used method of abortion. Right, which is why they're targeting it. Because, like, most abortions are done within the first trimester, and most abortions, the overwhelming amount, are done with these two abortifacients, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Here, Google, help me out here.
Abortifacient.
Abortifacient. There you go. All right. These two abortifacients, if I'm saying it right, they're just pills. Okay? That's it. And most pregnancies are terminated using this method, which is the goal. This is F. So many women take hormonal pills to help regulate their periods, and this helps prevent the need of abortions. Exactly. Can I take their Viagra from them? I mean, fair is fair. But, you know, it was never about that. Nope, I'm the bully. True. You've got the sword, so yeah. We won't hold our breath for government action, said Elisa Wells, the founder of the organization Plan C that helps patients order pills online. We know that in the absence of political support and leadership, this is what we have to do. We have to provide for ourselves and our community. Embracing for a decision that cuts access to the drugs, abortion rights supporters are... I'm starting to consider holding my breath. Sheesh. That's, that got dark fast. Are giving patients and providers a crash course on a workaround that uses the second pill in the 2-pill regimen, misoprostol, and contemplating expanding clinic capacity should patients need to switch from pills to surgical procedure, which is like pretty effed up that conservatives want essentially to make this the only option, so that it would not be treading on states' right by regulating what can be limited or prohibited in other states. I mean, it doesn't matter, Mayhem Hippie. They don't really give a shit about anything. Anything like that. The only thing that they give a shit about is the subjugation. The subjugation of people. And that's about it. It's not going to stop until America is a fascist, Christian, hyper-conservative theocracy. The thing that they always forget is that when you become obsessed with the enemy, you become the enemy itself. Yeah, I guess. It's one way of putting it. But I definitely do agree that the end goal is some type of theo-fascist, as somebody put it. Was it you that said that, Maple Leaf? I feel like it was somebody from the Dragon Squad that said theo-fascist, that gave me that term, or put it in the chat. What they're interested in is creating some type of theo-fascist state where they're the ones in control and they're the ones that dictate what happens. So you can disregard their talks about freedom. You can disregard their talks about freedom of speech. You can disregard anything that they talk about, because usually they mean the opposite. It wasn't me. I could have sworn I heard somebody in chat. Not heard. I read somebody in chat. I think my memory blanks, but I think it was somebody in the Dragon Squad. Somebody with the Dragon username. Theo-fascist is a new word I haven't seen. I've seen Christo-fascist. Yeah, I've seen that one too. I mean, it's like mostly, it's using like theo-fascist or Christo-fascist or whatever is probably the most accurate descriptor. Baby Chief, how's it going? Arkansas Governor Huckabee Sanders took a meeting after a response to Biden's State of the Union, but not just from the left. Right-wing commentators also took her to task, even calling her not intellectually capable of responding to the president. Better it could be. I'm okay. I could be better. Got the COVID. Oh, shoot. Yikes. Well, I hope you're... Well, I'm glad you're doing better. Israel is getting pretty fascist, like as openly as the US. I mean, when I say fascist, I'm speaking about neolibs. But neolibs aren't fascist, though. Come on. Neolibs are neolibs. Fascists are fascists. I think we should probably stick to the meaning of words so that we don't inadvertently dilute them. What to you is the distinction? Well, neoliberals are just basically these like hyper-capitalist kind of deal. But fascists are incredibly more authoritarian and believe in some kind of like one state control. Her rebuttal to Biden was laced with culture war bromides. Most Americans simply want to live their lives in freedom and peace, but we're under attack in a left-wing culture war. We didn't start and never wanted to fight. No. Even though the right wing did both of these things, they both started the culture war and are continuously, they're only resorting to the culture war. No policy here, but whatever. I don't disagree, just neolibs seem to know better than to have a flag. Maybe neolibs are far from fascist, like both bad but definitely different. Yeah, like I just think that like we must remember that words have meanings. We must remember that words have meanings and like they ascribe like different ideologies, even though you can argue to what degree. But it's just in the service of attempting to not delude like the terms, especially fascist. The reason why I'm like a little bit more I'm harping on that is because when faced with this growing fascistic elements around the world and here in this country, I want to make sure that we're very clear as to who we're talking about. I'm not disagreeing. No, I'm just making sure that like, you know, in the service of attempting to really put into perspective the problem here. I don't want people to get these things twisted or diluted, especially with the rising fascistic tendencies around the planet and here. The only culture war I care about is no MAGA or Trump ever again. Well, I mean, MAGA isn't going anywhere. MAGA isn't going anywhere, and hopefully Trump will take a big fat L, and that'll be it. That'll be it. I agree with ADT. The difference is in the degree of authoritarianism. Sure. Like I said, I agree. It's just fascists seem to be learning to stop the flag waving, and they're finding more comfortable seats among neolibs. I mean, yeah, but, you know, they usually try to, fascists always have had to kind of hide their power level, so to speak. Fascists, from the beginning, the inception of fascism, they've needed to do that because, well, if not, they wouldn't have never had a shot in hell. Even back then. And it's the same scenario, Antheon. Back then, they had to lean to the more like center-right conservatives and then co-opt that. It's the same playbook. Yeah, family value, whatever it is, that they can kind of lean on, that happens to also agree with some like center right conservatives, whatever, and then end up like, you know, taking over, leopard ate my face kind of a scenario, right? I mean, that's exactly the same playbook, and it's happening again to the GOP. It's happening again to the GOP. Neolibs lean towards to convince the population to submit. Fascists roll out the military to suppress the populace. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, fascists work in different ways, but yeah, fascists will go as far as to use left-wing ideals they can, if they can, to use it and hide their power behind it. Correct. They'll talk about workers' rights. They'll talk white workers' rights. They'll talk about like things like that, you know, and this faux kind of populist language that ends up not being populist at all, once you kind of take that facade off. But yeah, you're right. You're right, Baby Chief. You know who comes to mind? Saagar and Jetty. Tucker Carlson, you know, the heir to Swanson, to the Swanson Empire, essentially, attempting to play the part of the representative of the working class, except that's not what he is. But he portrays himself to be. He talks a lot, or tries to talk a lot, about these working class issues and what Americans want, you know? We literally have the Socialist Party in the Netherlands that is basically workers first, but our workers before their workers. Gotcha. But yeah, so, yeah, the tangent is just to make the point, you know. Alright. Since the anti-abortion medical group sued the FDA in November, Planned Parenthood, Plan C, and the Women's March, the Center for Reproductive Rights, and other advocacy groups have pleaded with the government officials to do more to prepare for a potential ruling blocking the sales of these pills, holding briefings with lawmakers, governors, attorney generals, and health leaders. The Biden administration has so far rebuffed the group's calls to declaring a public health emergency for abortion. And top Biden administration health officials have downplayed the prospect that the pills may be banned. With this is classic clown logic. This is an L on the Biden administration. I'm not gonna lie. But okay. With HHS Secretary Javier Becerra telling the reporters last month that he's very confident that the courts will side with the FDA. Yes, the very extreme activist judge appointed by Trump is going to side with the FDA. Yeah, dude, who has like this history of attempting to work with these like religious extremists, these death cults. Yeah, dude, I'm sure a reasonable ruling is going to come out of that guy. The FDA took an action based solely on the statutory authority and the science, the data in front of it, and the evidence behind it. Becerra told reporters late January, the FDA did not take this under consideration lightly. We've had more than 20 years of use of this medication, abortion, so we feel very confident that the work the FDA has done will stand the test, whether it's time or the courts. Okay, my brother in Christ, the judge who's hearing this case is appointed from Trump and has a history of being this like religious zealot. Dude. How could you be so short-sighted? So hear me out. A lot of money is made from birth control prescriptions that will hurt investors in the money trail. The FDA is all about the money. Well, I mean, sure, this will have some kind of impact, but, you know, the White House and abortion rights, it doesn't really matter because this is not being dictated by this is not being dictated by rationality, even coming from like a capitalistic sense. This is not coming out of any kind of rationality. This is coming out of religious zealotry. So yeah, I mean, obviously, his mind, Becerra is thinking like, you know, of course they're going to side with the, of course they're going to side with the FDA because, you know, I mean, women's rights, you know. This judge will put religion above money every day. Yes. I hate to say this, but I hope lobbying can finally work in our favor. That felt dirty. Well, the problem here is that it's irrelevant because the judge isn't seeing it that way, as Baby Chief just said. Like, the judge isn't seeing it this way. The judge is seeing it as this, you know, crusade that he's a part of. The White House and abortion rights groups meet regularly and are most aligned on policy, and advocates have praised the administration for defending abortion rights and rolling out policies in recent weeks, protecting patients' access to the pill through the mail and retail pharmacies. But there is also an undercurrent of frustration with the scope and pace of the administration's response to the myriad threats of abortion access around the country. Yeah, and like the thing is, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating how there is multiple opportunities. And I'm not talking about just now, but like in recent history, there in administrations in the past, that this could have just been resolved. And now we're here. And now we're here. I really hate America right now. This is America. That tension was evident in reactions to Biden's State of the Union address on Tuesday, at the first since Roe v. Wade was overturned. Planned Parenthood and NARAL Pro-Choice America praised the president for pledging to veto any ban Congress passes. Yay. While other abortion rights groups like We Testify and All Above All said they were disappointed the speech didn't include a mention of the looming court decision on pills or details how the administration might handle it. Yeah, again, like coming from the party that wants small government and limited government, yeah. I feel more marginalized every day. Yeah. America isn't what you hate. It's all the intrigue and controversy, also all the pollution and crime and... Wait, what? What does that even mean? What? What? Okay. The fact that the party of, like, small government wants to literally regulate a fucking pill... Unbelievably hypocritical. Maybe it's not about small government. Maybe it's not really about small government. Maybe it's about expanding the state. But just in the ways that they want to infringe on the people that they want to infringe upon. That they want to control. And I'm talking about conservatives. I just found out that I may not get Social Security because I am married, and they will also look at my husband's income and he may make too much. As a manager at Burger King explained that to me. There's no logic. It's fucked. It's that simple. There's no logic. It's effed. It's effed. I've literally seen like stories of like people who have been married for decades. For literal decades. Having to, on paper, get divorced because of like the surmounting like health bills was going to affect both of them. People are animals and animals form hierarchy. That's a load of bullshit. But okay. Hi, Jordan Peterson. Hello. Welcome, Jordan Peterson. Welcome to the stream. Would you like to debate on climate change and how... Oh, God. My husband and I are married only in ceremony so that my kids don't lose our insurance. That's such bullshit that, like, this is, like, the fucking reality of so many people. They want to regulate speech, your sex life, what you eat, and what you're allowed to say and come to the country. Yeah. From the party of small government, you know? The federal government needs to be hands off. Except... I'm still confused why you called me Jordan Peterson. Okay, so first of all, do you know who he is? Because it sounds a lot like Jordan Peterson's, like, garbage theory of, like, how hierarchies are kind of just inherent to us when they don't really have to be. And the way he justifies this is literal fucking lobsters. That's literally what I hear when people say something to the effect of, where is the comment? People are animals and animals form hierarchy. The fuck else am I supposed to get from that? He's a Christian pseudo-intellectual. Yes. Yes. Yes, he is. Is why Harvard tossed him out. Yep. Anyways. The president continues to not meet the moment with his words, said Renee Sherman, the executive director of the advocacy group We Testify. He's not showing up for the people who have abortions the way we need. We're relieved to know that he's willing to veto a national abortion ban, but what will you do to make abortion accessible for everyone? We deserve a real plan. Right. The White House defended its efforts to protect abortion access, pointing to a 6-point strategy that HHS published in January detailing the various steps it's taken since Roe v. Wade was struck down. Biden himself has repeatedly emphasized the only way to fully guard abortion access is for Congress to codify Roe. Great. So where the fuck were the Democrats? Where the fuck were the Democratic Party? When they had the House. Yes, animals do establish hierarchy. They are not wrong, but we are a bit more evolved than that. Right. My argument is that we don't need to do that. And I don't think and I don't think all animals do that as well. I don't think that's the case for all animals. But we definitely do still establish hierarchy. Yeah, and I'm saying it's bullshit. I'm saying that it's not necessary. It's not necessary. The primate ones generally do. Yeah, sure. I really hate to see how both the congressional majority and the minority expect the president to be omniscient and omnipresent. It's a waste of time, effort, and resources. But that's splitting hairs to support a point. Yeah. My anger is where were the Democrats when they had the House That's my question. The lawsuits from the anti-abortion legal powerhouse Alliance Defending Freedom representing a group of doctors and conservative medical groups targets the FDA too. Alliance Defending Freedom. Nice meme. The FDA's 2-decade-old approval of mifepristone, arguing that the agency didn't adequately study the safety risks of the drug. The Challenge ADF senior counsel Julie Marie Blake said is seeking to protect girls and women from the documented dangers of chemical abortion drugs. Cool. Is there like a massively like documented problem with these things? I think we would have heard about it by now. The Biden administration has told the court these charges are baseless and politically motivated, which they are, and presented evidence that the drug has been safely used by millions of people over the last 23 years. Yet White House officials are privately worried about the far-reaching implications if the FDA's mifepristone approval is struck down and what they see as limited options they have for responding. According to 3 people familiar with internal discussions, Biden's Gender Policy Council and Intergovernmental Affairs Office has huddled repeatedly with the White House lawyers to plan for the various possible outcomes. Well, I mean, let's be honest. But let's be honest. Most likely, the only outcome is going to be that this judge, is going to strike it down. I was saying that if there was really these like really bad adverse effects of specifically like this drug, I think we would have had, I think we would have had like well documented cases if this pill, was really that dangerous, because their argument is they want to protect girls and women from documented dangers of chemical, like these loaded terms, abortion drugs. And I'm saying if there's like really like a lot of these like cases, then we would have probably known by now. There are certain birth control options that are really dangerous for women. Yeah, that's true. It literally depends on your hormones and what you're taking. Yes, but overall, you would have to like give me a good argument as to why you should ban these things. Versus like the risks, right? Just ignore the documented dangers of pregnancy. Yeah, like what's the risk versus like being forced to go through this pregnancy, especially when you don't want to. I would not ban them per se. Why not birth control for men? Or mandated vasectomies? Right. Why not mandated vasectomies? Maybe. It's because the same argument would apply. You know? But of course, they would never concede that. They would never concede that. Women should not. Women should have the choice. Right. That's the whole argument. Exactly. We don't have the choice. It's not easy for women to get the plumbing shut down. Yep. Which is why things like this exist. But yeah. I resolved that by not socializing IRL. Sure, that's one way of doing it. The Biden administration has told the court these charges are baseless and politically motivated and presented evidence that the drug has been safely used by millions of people over the last 23 years. Yet, oh yeah, hold on, we already went through this. The Department of Justice is also poised to quickly appeal should this clown rule against the government in hopes of staving off a temporary ban on the pill's use, said another person familiar with the internal discussion. That appeal, however, could go to the right-leaning Fifth U.S. Circuit of Appeals and then the Supreme Court, an outcome advocates fear given the High Court's ruling last year overturning Roe v. Wade. The White House is also planning a messaging response. Officials said that would likely frame the ruling as further proof of its argument that Republicans are determined to ban abortion everywhere, part of a plan to refocus national attention on an issue that's proven politically potent. Yeah, okay, but like, fucking do something about it. I had 2 kids at 27 and I still needed my husband's permission in a blue state. That's some bullshit, honestly. No one has ever accused lawmakers as a collective or competent. True. Democrats in Congress, meanwhile, say they're alarmed by the case, but at a loss on how to prepare for a decision given the partisan division on the issue. Bro! You had the House! I'm really worried about what this means for women across the country, said Pramila Jayapal, the head of Congressional Progressive Caucus, who has spoken out about her own abortion. But obviously, you know that legislative response requires Republicans to be with us. So we're going to keep looking for ways that we can try to do things administratively, but unfortunately the options on the legislation are blocked. Yeah, because they don't believe Republicans aren't on board with this shit. You're not going to get a single Republican. You're not going to get Republican support. It's not going to happen. Because the case targets the regulation of drugs at the federal level, there's also little state officials can do to respond to the ruling. Legal experts and advocates said, abortion rights groups say that they're mainly urging states that support abortion rights to lobby their federal counterparts and tell them that this can't be allowed to stand. Forgot to use my blue light glasses. My brain has been getting irradiated. Oof. Yikes. Dems just wanted to use to get elected. They don't care about women's rights. I mean, if they did, maybe at some point, but whatever. If they did or didn't, the action behind the words did not materialize. The actions behind the words did not materialize, and that should be criticized. If the U.S. laws were enforced, Santos and Gates and Marjorie Taylor Greene the slim majority the U.S. would be gone. I don't know if it's like that, but there are a lot of lawmakers and state leaders who want to be helpful right now, said Kristen Moore, director of Expanding Medication Abortion Access Project. But this is about willingness of the administration to be expansive in this moment, and they haven't always shown a willingness to lean in and be forceful on this issue. Under pressure from progressive lawmakers and advocates to take more decisive action on the issue, Biden officials in recent months revisited the idea of declaring abortion access a public health emergency. The move, supporters argue, can make it easier to dispatch federal health workers to help women obtain abortions and free up money for blue states facing higher demand from those who have to travel across state lines for the procedure. But the White House remains deeply skeptical and convinced it'd be helpful practically or politically. Sending federal workers into GOP-led states to aid abortion access would likely spark a political uproar that risks backfiring. Two of the people familiar with the internal discussion said, and officials doubt the flexibilities granted through a health emergency would be significant enough to even make a difference. Dems care about women's right in healthcare when they need to get elected. That's the only time. Yeah, it's like a crutch or like a bludgeon. A political football, if you will. Yeah, folks, the Pope had a talk with Biden. It'll be aight. At this point, we don't believe that declaring a public health emergency would provide meaningful new resources in this fight. So then, what's the plan, bruh? What's the plan? And just to be clear, it's not just on Joe Biden. What is the plan? The move would also invite an immediate legal challenge with unpredictable results. The courts could strike down the declaration, potentially limiting the government's future ability to declare emergencies for a wide set of issues. The people familiar with the internal discussion said, even if it was upheld, a future Republican administration could conceivably use that precedent to justify declaring a public health emergency aimed at constraining the abortion access. Nice. You're begging for trouble. Hey, kitty. Come here. You want to say hi to everybody? Come on. Come on, kitty. Oh, folks, we have a very special guest. Look at this perfect cat. Look at her. Are you going to sleep? In my hands? Are you already going to sleep? Oh, there you are. Baby, indeed. The plan is to download progressive.exe into the brains of congresspeople and stand back and watch society transform. I wish it was like literally that easy, but okay. I wish it was that easy. Former Vice President Mike Pence and former National Security Advisor O'Brien have been subpoenaed by the special counsel leading probes into classified documents found at the President Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence and efforts to overturn the 2020 election result. Interesting. Perfection, indeed. Alright, well, we'll finish up this one here. With the cat on my lap. Abortion rights groups say the high stakes of ruling against the pills and uncertainty around federal response has motivated them to take matters into their own hands. Aid Access and Plan C, two groups that help patients order pills from overseas no matter where they live in the U.S., have made videos encouraging people to buy the medication before they are pregnant just in case they need it in the future. Abortion pills can be in our hands no matter what the courts and politicians decide. The FDA has spoken out against stockpiling, known as advanced provision, arguing that it prevents doctors from assessing whether a patient is within the first 10 weeks of pregnancy and when the pills are approved for use, and whether there's a risk of an ectopic pregnancy. Well, then, Jesus Christ, then fix the problem here, okay? Advanced provisioning is something advocacy groups have been encouraging to do even before the lawsuit against the pills emerged, and a tool they now argue is one of the only ways to prevent anticipated court rulings from wiping out access in much of the country. Why not just have it on hand when you can use it when you need it? Noting, as well said, noting that the pills can be stored for up to 2 years at room temperature. If you're in a state with a 6-week ban, for example, having it in advance makes a lot of sense. You can take it within the 6 weeks very easily, but if you wait to order them until you know you're pregnant, you could run up against that limit, which, of course, is the point of making these type of restrictions. That's exactly the point, and exactly the point of of trying to ban the pill, because it's one of the most widely used methods of abortion, and it's when most abortions occur anyways. The overwhelming abortions occur very early. And this is one way to essentially try to checkmate the right to bodily autonomy and the right to self-determination. That's what this is all about. And I know I've said this before, and I've done this spiel several times. But again, effectively, the abortion debate is fundamentally about bodily autonomy. Everyone has the right to self-determination. In other words, you get to do what you want with your body so long as it does not affect others. An important addition to the concept of body autonomy is that you're also not entitled to anybody else's body. Period. Full stop. Even in death, you must have explicit consent. Usually, again, when you sign your license or ID, to even harvest your organs. The government's only business here is to protect that right. That's it. That's the only thing the government needs to worry about in this situation, is to protect that right of bodily autonomy and self-determination. If you yourself have some weird moral objection, because, I don't know, some weird religious bullshit or whatever, here's a cool thought. You don't have to have an abortion. That's the whole point of being pro-choice. You don't have to have an abortion. You just don't get to dictate what the rest of people do. That's it. It's that simple. I like the idea of using the 13th Amendment and just declare the abortion constitutional. Yeah, we went over that article. I think it's a great line of argumentation from like the legal sense, the legal perspective. All right, folks, we did it. I couldn't get to the last one, but that's okay. TLDR, California is proposing to reinstate prisoners' voting rights. Even if they're in prison. Which honestly, like, good on them. This should be like a universal thing. So good on them. I hope this passes. All right, folks, I gotta get going. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. You get 6 free emotes, including 2 Bakita the Cat emotes, as some of you posted. I see you. And if you want to support this channel in a non-monetary way, you can head on over to the YouTubes and hit the big red subscribe button, as 215 of you have already done. Spread the word far and wide that we're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It really does help us out. Thank you for the great conversation. I appreciate it. Thank you. I like the idea of using the 13th Amendment. Yep, hopefully you don't do the Florida thing. We're declaring that Florida thing of declaring after the fact that they're engaged in illegal voting. Yeah, but I trust California just a little bit more. I trust California just a little bit more than Florida, you know? Just a tad bit more. All right, folks, I gotta get out of here. I'll show. She's still on my lap. You're gonna say goodbye? Yes? We want to hear your purrs. No? Okay. Alright, folks. Bunny Bear, she's so chill. Oh yeah, she's got a sassy look, but she's chilling on my lap right now. And purring up a storm. Alright, folks, I gotta get out of here. Happy birthday to Becky. Thank you. I appreciate you stopping by. Make sure you hit the follow button and go show her YouTube channel some support. Oh, come on. Not now. There we go. Head on over to twitch.tv/Beccasphere. There's also another diamond in chat. Alio, twitch.tv/AlioShare. And I think that I got everybody who's a streamer, I hope. Thanks, great stream. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya! Alright, let's go bother Levelhead. Alright, hang tight, everybody. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.